that they're disengaged from work. Now, when you look at children and what they need in our schools, there's both bad news and good news. The bad news is that for whatever reason may be, whatever social forces are at work, pressures on families and so on, it seems that today's children aren't getting the same skill building in the emotional and social domain than was true when most of us were children. And that shows up if you have a population of students, for example, who have high rates on the general range of teen risks, things like violence, disobedience, getting in trouble in school, crimes, substance abuse, alcohol abuse, unwanted teen pregnancies, dropouts. All of those are indicators of lapses in the underlying abilities of emotional intelligence. What are those abilities? Well, the first is self-awareness, knowing how you're feeling and why you're feeling it. This is also what helps you have an ethical rudder in life, because you get a felt sense of whether what you're about to do is the right thing or the wrong thing. You get a feeling sense. It actually comes from a part of the emotional centers, and then we put words to it. So being able to stay on course ethically also has to do with self-awareness. The second part of emotional intelligence is self-management. And here, emotional self-control is the most obvious ability. Being able to calm down when you're anxious, being able to stay focused and not to let your anger get out of control, to let your impulses get out of control. I don't know how many of you know about the marshmallow test. This is some research that was done at Stanford University many years ago with 4-year-olds, children of Stanford graduate students and professors. What they did was they took each child into a room one by one, and they sat them down at a small table, and they gave each of them a marshmallow. At least they put it on the table. And they said to the child, you could have that marshmallow now if you want, but if you don't eat it now, if you'll wait till I run an errand and come back, you can have 2 then. Then the experimenter leaves the room. This is a predicament that tries the soul of any 4-year-old. I assure you, I've seen video of it. It's very funny. Some of the kids will go up and smell it and then jump back like it was dangerous, and others just sing and dance to distract themselves. About a third of the kids couldn't stand it. They grabbed the marshmallow, gobbled it down on the spot. Another third waited the endless 3 or 4 minutes till the experimenter came back, and they get 2. So the payoff finding in the study comes 14 years later, as the kids are about to graduate from high school. They're all tracked down, and the 2 groups are compared. The kids who grabbed, the kids who waited. What do they find? Well, the kids who waited still are able to delay gratification in pursuit of their goals. They get along better with their peers, interestingly enough. And most astoundingly, compared to the kids who grabbed, they have on this SATs, a college entrance exam, out of 1,600 total points possible, they have a 210-point advantage. That's a stunning difference. That shows that they've learned much, much more over the course of their school career. Why should that be? I think it goes back to that second domain of emotional intelligence, their ability to manage their impulse, manage their emotions, stay focused, and hear clearly and understand what the teacher is saying, to take in what it is they're studying. The third ability of emotional intelligence is empathy, understanding how other kids, how other people are feeling, seeing things from their perspective, not just your own perspective, having concern, not just empathy, knowing how a person feels, but if they need something, being compassionate, being predisposed to help if needed. And the fourth ability is social skill, which we saw at a very high level, I would say, with that kid in the soccer class. And this is where the good news comes. That was no accident that 11-year-old boy was able to handle that moment so skillfully. He learned that in school in a class called social development. It's a social emotional learning course. Everyone in his school gets it. And the method is called a put-up. When a kid puts you down, you respond 2 ways. You say something positive about yourself, and you say something positive about the other kid. It's emotional magic because it transforms the relationship with that other person in a very positive way. These are the kinds of lessons that children learn in what's called social emotional learning curricula. And these curricula are absolutely essential, I would argue, because of the good news that I wanted to share with you. And this comes from neuroscience. It turns out that the circuitry for emotional and social skills is the last part of the brain to become anatomically mature. It does not finish its development and being shaped until the early to mid-20s. What that means is we have a window of opportunity from birth into the 20s to give children the fundamental learning experiences that will help shape the circuitry in the best way. So they're self-aware, so they can manage their emotions, so they can stay focused, so they can motivate themselves, so they can be empathic, so they can get along well with other people. These are the lessons kids need in life, and they need it because of what's called neuroplasticity. What that means actually is that the brain is plastic. It is shaped by repeated experiences. If a child has role models around who are impulsive, who are angry, who are, in other words, not emotionally intelligent, children model what they see. They practice what they see. That gives them the wrong lessons. If they have the opportunity, however, to be around adults who model emotional intelligence, whether it's their parents, their family, their teacher, other kids, if they are taught these skills in school, then we can be sure that every child has the opportunity to master these essential skills for life. The best social emotional learning programs start in kindergarten or even preschool. They're embedded in the curricula, in the regular academic curricula, from K through 12. They cover the full spectrum of emotional and social abilities. They're integrated not just into the academic curricula, but they're offered also to parents in after-school classes so that families know what kids are learning and each can reinforce the other so that all of the significant people in a child's life are working together to help them get those skills. And they're developmentally appropriate. You teach the same lessons, how to manage your impulse, how to handle your anger, how to make good social decisions. You teach the same lessons repeatedly, but you teach them differently at different ages because children take in information and understand information differently as they grow. So, you know, for a second grader, it might be, let's think about what you would do if you thought someone had stolen your pencil. What would make it worse? What would make it better? Kids brainstorm and they think of the best things to do, talk it over. That's a fundamental learning for them. In middle school, it might be, how can I say no to sex or to drugs and keep my friends or keep my boyfriend? These are the kinds of melodramas that kids face that distract them from their studies, that distract them from their learning, that put them in the worst brain state for understanding what it is the academic lesson of the day might be. So these are absolutely fundamental lessons for every child in life. And the good news is it works. We are now seeing data, and this comes from the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, which is now at the University of Illinois at Chicago. And they've done what's called a meta-analysis of individual studies of schools and classes where kids had social emotional learning and comparable kids, same demographics, same kind of neighborhood, same kind of parental education levels and so on, but the kids didn't have the SEL lessons. And when they put together hundreds of studies from all over the country, what they found was that when it comes to the antisocial behaviors, getting into trouble in school,